Welcome back to the AB Scout Project. I'm Krager. This is off Bravo, and today we're starting off with Micronus Prime, and this, of course, is his exosuit slash weaponizer slash vehicle. But we'll get into that. On the inside, we actually have Micronus Prime in his disc mode, but we'll start out with the outer portion here, and this is supposed to be reminiscent of the Apex armor from Prime. I'm not seeing it. I'm just seeing it as more of a bigger size version of the disc microns from RID 2015. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Kind of neat. See some of the vehicle mode stuff on the back there. And there's lots of options you can do to play with them to make up some other different alt modes. So, it's actually pretty cool. But let's actually, and also the Chimera Stone fits on his chest. I don't know if you can actually see that. Yeah, there you go. You can see the little Chimera symbol in the middle, so that's kind of cool that they made such a small detail on it. But anyway, and that's just a 5mm peg. That fits right in there. So, yep. That's hard to keep a hold of. Get it right side up and place it in. All right, there you go. All right, so we pop out the actual Micronus Prime, and you can see again, reminiscent of the discs from 2015, and plus looks like the Micromaster plates from Armada. He also has the Micromaster symbol on him. So they crammed a ton of references in just this one alt mode here. And so go ahead and transform him here. Pop that up just so you can see his robot mode. And there's his robot mode. And yeah, this is pure RID 2015. There is no other references. They even have the little two pylons on the back for him. So it is RID 2015. And so compare it to our current winner, which is one I'm also using for nickel. And you can see, yeah, they drew a lot from here to get to here, and this is straight up what he looked like in RID 2015. So that's pretty obvious there. So, and his articulation, the head is on a ball joint at the base of the head, so you can do pretty much anything you want. You can look up. That's about as far down as he can look. And the arm, everything else is on ball joints. So you can do whatever with those. Has a knee ball joint. He does have two-way hips there instead of a ball joint. No ankle tilt because he's so tiny. His exosuit does have pretty much all the articulation, including a wrist swivel. The legs, once you get, hits a bunch of kibble, but there is enough capacity for movement. The knees, there's one of them has a 5mm peg on it, and when you take care of that, the legs will do anything you want. And extreme ankle tilt. So, yeah, so they packed as much articulation into the exosuit as they could. So, yeah, let's go ahead and go through some of his vehicle modes. And here we have Micronus' exosuit in the official alt mode. You're supposed to put these up, and so he's got the jet engines on the back, or you can flip the arms around and have them sticking up. But I'd like it in this configuration just so you can put those down and have a kickstand, because otherwise, yeah. But it's basically just a unicycle with jet engines on the back. Yeah. And those things that you thought were rotors were actually just things that retain the wheel. Yeah. Rolls pretty well, though. Yeah. And you pretty much have to parts form it to do it, because the wheel is made of the legs. You have to take the arms off and swap them around so you can get them in the right elbow orientation. But yeah. But that's, also how you make the weaponizer bit of this. You take this off. You can put that in a 5mm peg. You can put that in a 5mm peg. You can Pop these out. Yeah. And then you got a 5mm peg here. You can stick in somebody's back or put more weapons on there. And then you can take the leg and take that 5mm peg like I was talking about earlier. Pop that out, and that can go on somebody's arm so that you can, weaponize somebody up. So, yeah. So that's really about it. I mean, we'll go ahead and pop this guy out. I was thinking, maybe we can make some, funner alt modes, more fun. You got to find the right orientation for this. There we go. But basically what I was kind of thinking was, hey, let's embrace the rotors. Just put those on. We'll put these actually back here, flip that back in. Put this guy back here. Put this guy over here. And actually have a, drone bike type of thing. So yeah, and there's lots of things you can do just to play around to make different alt modes, just because they did make it mix and match, and you can have, him riding it again. If you wanted to, he's going to be more of like Supermaning it this time. And because his head tilts back, you can actually have him facing forward. So yeah, it's actually fun just in all the other things you can do with it. But yeah, for the most part though, you're paying the money for the Micronus on top, and then his exosuit is kind of a bonus that honestly it'll probably be in a drawer while I keep Micronus on the shelf. But yeah, in comparison, here's the disc. Yay. Yeah, not a lot more to say besides it's very flexible. You can do what you want with it. Make up some fun alternate alt modes. And I like the kind of drone bike thing a little bit better than the unicycle mode. So yeah. Alright, let's do our final decision. So is this our new IDW G1 Micronus Prime? Let me pull the current winner back in. So I'm going to say yes. Just because he is exactly the RID 2015 Micronus Prime. The IDW Prime was more proportional, not so stocky, but I like the little stocky look. I like this look for Micronus Prime, so that's where he's going to stay. And then my little Blizzard Strike Slipstream that was doing double duty as Nickel and as Micronus Prime will just be Nickel, so we just put the backpack back on, and there it's Nickel again. So new winner, Age of the Primes from Micronus. Alright, let's go on to the next one. And finally today we've got Onyx Prime. He actually looks really cool. I think they have done a lot of work as far as making him look good. Just look at all that detail that he has on him. Now you see the face there. So this is really cool. He comes with his staff, the triptych mask, and then this tail comes off to make a bow with this. I might show that later. You have the beast head on the back there. But yeah, all the detail they put on him is awesome. As far as being a beast former, he's pretty basic of fall on his face and he's a beast. There is the way to make him a centaur, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But that's the most complex part about him, honestly. But all the detail they put to him, the articulation, heads on the ball joint, arms can do whatever you want. You even got a wrist swivel, you got opening hands. The waist, you got to put up his crotch plate there, but the weight has a waist, legs, multiple joints in there with his reversed articulated legs, and he has ankle tilt. So he does have all the posability. So all the points were put in posability, definitely not in the complexity of transformation. So, but one cool thing is that although this is supposed to be the triptych mask that shows, the 3 different flavors of his observation and mood, they also built it into him as well. So let's see if I can get him up to where you can kind of see that. So here you have kind of the basic face, but then the cowling will flip forward, and there's his bestial face. So that's really cool. And for the third face, it's actually this chest piece flips up, and there's his third face. So he actually has all 3 aspects of the triptych mask built into him, as well as having the artifact itself, which I'll show you. This just separates here so you can see the artifact itself, plus he has 3 different faces. So that's pretty neat. I'm glad they added that in. And I'd be able to pop that back up. I'm never quite sure I've got it up far enough, but since I can see his eyes, I'll call it good. Clip that back into his hand. All right. So yeah, again, like Micronus, a lot of Easter eggs built in. So it's really cool. My only real complaint is I wish they put in a 3rd segment on the wings, just so you have something filled in here and maybe a bit grander on the wings, but otherwise, yeah, that works. I have no doubt that DNA will come out with a kit with another set of wings you can throw in there. So, let's go ahead and look at the current winner. And oops, I keep spoiling that plot point from 10 years ago. All right. So my current winner is actually the Chinese knockoff I picked up at the state fair. Yeah, there's not too much comparisons to be made there, so yeah. Less said the better for my episode. But okay, one more thing before we go to the beast mode. We'll go ahead and show how we get to centaur mode. So you flip up his extra arms up here, kind of pull these forward just for access so that these will swing freely. And there's lots of joints on here, which you kind of got to jerry around to make fit or make go, because you have a 2-way joint there, and then you also have a swivel, so you kind of got to make it all work. We'll flip that up because we're going to take this guy up, collapse the legs a bit so that when he comes down, everything touches. And then his whole body, here, touch that. And then his whole body will rock up eventually. Once I figure out, there it is, okay. Let's get all that. We'll put the beast head back away a little bit. Put that face down. Flip him up. And we got there. Here's... Yep. Doesn't really click in, so... We'll flip this back around. And we do lose a lot of height there. And the arms are now kind of less spectacular. But that is the centaur mode. And as you can see, it's only a couple more steps away from just falling forward and being the beast mode. So I actually like the bipedal. I'm glad we got the centaur mode, but I like the bipedal better. And you can actually flip these guys in here. And there you go. There's a full centaur. And of course you can do all 3 faces again and everything. But like I said, you can kind of see where we're going with the transformation here, how everything just kind of falls on its face and it's a beast mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at the beast mode. And here we have Onyx in his first beast mode. And you can see it's pretty basic, and you can see what I'm saying about pretty much just fall on his face and he's a beast mode. He can store his weapons back here. Yeah, that's really about it. Not a whole lot to it. Very reminiscent of the Prime Skylinks. So, and the beast modes they made for Prime, where they didn't really put a lot into them. But yeah. And again, you can kind of see why I'd want that extra segment in the wings and maybe a little bit more in the neck and make this thing look a lot cooler. Otherwise, you just got kind of a short-necked dragon. The jaw moves, the arms and legs are still the arms and legs, so they still have all the movement of the arms and legs. So, yeah. Not really a whole lot to say. The next beast mode, again, you just kind of have to flip this forward. Flip out those legs, take him up, rotate, same thing over here, rotate these forward, click that out, turn the forearm. The instructions actually tell you to put these in a fist, but I like it better with the fingers out. And again, rotate all this stuff around until you get contact in the direction you want. Like I said, lots of joints in there to play with. And yeah. Get that guy back there. And the back legs too. You can extend them a little bit to get it to where all these contact at once. So you have a 6-legged dragon. Yeah, I'm a lot less impressed with this. I mean, the whole Centaur thing was built into it because you had to do it for Onyx Prime to make it look like the IDW and be like the Covenant of Primus, but in practice, it's not as impressive as first sold. So, and since you're exposing so much more on the sides by deploying these, like I said, it looks a lot less impressive. The profile on it gets skinnier for the torso. So, good idea. Execution's not as great. And I guess before I'll do some comparisons. Hey, getting ahead of myself. So, compare them with the current winner. So here's the Shockwave. Sorry, I can't help myself. Anyway, bring in the knockoff, which while the 6-legged dragon can be disappointing, it's not as disappointing as a knockoff dragon. And this, of course, is based on the Predaking mold, which I wouldn't disparage that mold with comparing it with that, but that's what it's based on. When I say based, I mean very loosely based. Yeah. Yeah, you guys can see where we're going with this. All right. Overall, I'm not too disappointed. It's just the six-legged mode and the Centaur mode are not my favorite. He works better as just a basic dragon and a basic bipedal robot. But I'm glad that they included everything, and I like all the extras they added. All right, let's do our final deliberation. One more thing before we move on, before I forget again. We'll go ahead and show the bow mode. So we'll take all this stuff apart. This you want to pull out because it is a tab. It's not a peg. So don't rotate it out. Make sure you're just pulling straight out on that. But this flips out to make your bow. Stick the mask on the end for your arrow. Take this tab on the staff, put it in the slot in the side of the triptych masks there. And there is your bow and arrow configuration, which you can cleverly manipulate the openable hands to hold in his robot mode. But yeah, that's the bow and arrow. All right, moving on. So is this our new IDW G1 Onyx Prime? I was using a knockoff before. Of course it's the new one. But the tri-face gimmick, the look being like the comics and the Covenant of Primus somewhat, gives me that, yeah, this is our new Onyx Prime. So the KO can go where KOs go. And the new winner is the Age of Primes Onyx Prime. And honestly, he looks just pretty badass. I gotta admit, he looks pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and take a look at our current lineup of primes. And here we have our current set of primes. I've pretty much decided, since Star Convoy was supposed to be the 13th prime, and they're not going to make another PMOP for Chug, that I'm just going to use the pre-war Optimus as my 13th prime. So, and I'm still don't know if they're going to redo Vector or not. So, but that Vector I think works fine. If they don't, I don't see why they would need to. But yeah, but here we are so far. We are 9 in, 4 more to go. We've been teased a couple more of them that should be coming out soon. But yeah, I like this lineup pretty well. I mean, they got enough aesthetic differences between them to give them all their individual personalities. So yeah, I really like it. All right, let's wrap this up. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us today on the AB Scale Project. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, ring that bell, and I'll see y'all later.